Hey everyone, welcome to the KMC Controls webinar on KMC Converge GFX. Really excited to have you all here with us today. Today we're working with Tom Joslin. He's the Senior Sales Engineer. He's familiar with GFX and is going to kind of walk us through the process on it today. And then as always, we just want to let you know you can feel free to ask questions. You can type them right into the system, and then we'll try to get to them toward the end of the webinar where we kind of just answer all your questions and look at all that. And before we begin, I wanted to send out a poll here. And we just want to gauge your familiarity. How often do you use KMC Converge GFX? Well, thank you guys for answering that. It looks like about over 68% of you have never actually used GFX, so this will be really exciting for you guys to kind of get an opportunity to check it out and see how it can benefit you. So with that, we're going to move on to the live demo with Tom here. I'll give him control.
Good morning, everyone out there in controls land. And today we're going to talk a little bit about some of my favorite stuff, which is Niagara, and how we integrate that with KMC. We've got some really interesting tools and ways that we do that. If you've been in class with me before, you've probably seen this demo to some extent and have even worked on it. But so today we're going to just kind of walk through some of the steps on how I get this all to work. So I kind of started out with our BACnet network, and I've got nothing in here on my network right now. So we're kind of going to start from scratch. So I've got some controllers already set up here in the training room, and we're going to go out and we're going to discover those and see what we can find. So I really want to start from scratch. So like if you had deployed your controllers with Connect out there, and now you're putting your front end together. So you've got Connect out there, you've got your controllers all deployed to. So now you want to go and add your front end graphics or some mobile graphics. So we're going to add some VAVs to this for starters. And I'm going to choose, instead of a BACnet device, I'm going to make sure that I make a KMC BACnet device. By doing that, that gives me the extra tools that I need to use with Converge and so forth. So now I've got some VAVs in my tree over here. And you know, I like to have them in order, so I'm going to reorder these guys because I'm just funny that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. So by going out now, I've added these VAV controllers. And if I look inside one of these guys, and I'm going to pick on VAV1 as a for instance, and I go inside this is the BACnet config folder, which is just a default folder you'll see on a BACnet device. This isn't necessarily a KMC thing, this is just a BACnet thing. So if I go inside that device object, it gives me some information. It tells me the model name, tells me the firmware, so forth. And if I scroll down here a little bit farther, it gives me a little bit more information. And so here it tells me this is the application that's inside there. It's a VAV, no fan, cooling only, position feedback, BAC 9001, E for English. And this is the little code name that applies to that application in our library. Now, if you know how our library works with our applications, we've got, you know, approximately 500 some applications to choose from in Connect that you can use. So this one has been chosen out of our library, and by having that in there, it knows what this guy is. It knows what this VAV is. So we already know what the points are. So if we go up here and use that information, and we go into our services, I'm going to go into my Converge service first. So we have this little thing called fingerprint. So I've went out and I've discovered the controllers. Now I need to discover points. So instead of going into each individual controller and looking for points and discovering them and trying to figure out which ones I need, which ones I don't need, we've kind of done that homework for you. So by choosing fingerprint, you see our device names up here and model numbers. Those are the ones that it's discovered. So I'm going to push this fingerprint button. So it's going to go out and it's going to look at that folder that I showed you a second ago and say, it's going to look for that application and see what matches in our library. So it's matched all of these up with an application that's in our library now. So now if I go back down here and I look inside VAV1, and now I've got this little KMC application folder in there. So I can double click on that and looky there, they got all the points. It says application matched successfully. And it didn't just do that one, it did all of them. So if I had 20 of these VAVs on here, it would have done all of them at the same time and brings in all of your points for you. This is the part where everybody goes, ooh, ah. But so this helps in our getting the graphics up, which is what we're really after today. So inside this KMC applications folder, you will notice that there is this little graphical points folder. So this graphical points folder is saying, these are the things that we have started you off with that need to be, you want to see on this graphic that's going to be made. Now you can always add points to this graphical points folder. So if you want to discharge air temperature in there, just drag it and put it in there. So now we've got discharge air temp in there, just as a for instance. So you can put whatever you'd like in there. Now, here's a neat trick. So these are the VAVs that are, matched our applications. That was easy peasy, right? What if I've got something that's not in our library? So let's go back and hit Discover again on our BACnet network. And let's pull in an air handling unit. So it's going to go back out and scan the network. Now, this air handling unit that I'm going to pull in is a KMC device. It's a 5901, but here's the thing. If I had another device that was on here, and I'm going to pull in this AHU1, we'll make it a KMC BACnet device. But what if this AHU1 was a third-party controller, just saying? You could use this on any BACnet device that you pull into this tree. All right. So this one doesn't have that little KMC application folder inside of it. So let's go add one to it. We've given you one inside the palette for him for KMC Converge. So there's a blank KMC application folder inside here. So let's add that KMC application folder to the point folder. And inside there is that graphical points folder, which there's nothing in there. So let's go add some points. From that air handler. It's trying to discover points, but it already remembers that I did this earlier this morning. So we'll pick discharge air temp, mixed air temp, we'll pick hot water, chill water, economizer. I'm just going to pick a few things here just till you get the idea. And we'll click add. We're going to add these points. Now these numeric writables, you've always got to enable them. And then we're going to add all these points. Okay. So now I've got all these points. If I want to add those to the graphic, we can certainly do that. We'll just drag and drop them and we'll throw them in that graphical points folder. So there they are. They're inside that graphical points folder. So now this air handler is acting just like the ones that we fingerprinted with, right? So we've got that graphical points folder in here. We've got points. Because when we start this graphics thing, what it's going to do is it's going to look for a BACnet device, and it's going to look in the points folder, then it's going to look for this applications folder, and then it's going to look for this graphical points folder. So it doesn't really care what flavor this is as long as it's BACnet. All right. So once we've done all that, now let's add a schedule to this air handler because I want to be able to schedule this air handler as well. Now there's already a schedule down in the controller. So our controllers have the points and the schedules and the trends all down inside the controller. So all we're going to do is pull those out, and we want to be able to do that with the graphic as well, see it. So an easy way to do that. So let's add a schedule for my palette. And to make things simple, I'm just going to drag and drop this schedule right here on this AHU. We'll call it AHU sched. And we'll go in and set him up real quick. Just put some time in there. Change it to awk and unawk. Here we go. So now we've got a schedule in there. Now, if I wanted to link this schedule to the schedule that's down inside the controller, because you probably already did your schedule down inside the controller with Connect, right? So if I click on the schedules, by default it comes up with the BACnet schedule import manager, but we really want to go to the schedule export manager because we want to push whatever values that we put in this schedule down into the controller. So I'm going to discover, and there's our weekly schedule. We'll click add. Now it's asking me the supervisor ORD, so that schedule that I just added, let's go find that. We'll drill down for it. And there it is. Hit OK. So all of these settings you can kind of do to whatever works for you. This is set up as an interval. It looks like every 5 minutes by default. That seems a little excessive, but we'll leave it. Now it turns orange because it hasn't connected yet. So let's highlight it and hit export. There we go. Now it's happy. So now whatever I change on this schedule will be pushed down into the schedule inside the controller. Now the good thing about this is that if the front end should happen to go away, your schedules are still down inside your controller, so they'll still be working. So this is just kind of some prep work that we're doing before we even get to the graphics themselves. We haven't even talked about graphics. So inside, I've got KMC Converge GFX as out of my palette. There's a KMC Converge GFX service. So I'm going to drag and drop that service into my Niagara services folder. So we have him now. And also inside this, inside the palette, we've got a couple of users. So KMC Guest H5 is an HTML5 user that we've already set up for you. So we'll drag and drop that guy up in here, the user services. And we will go and set up a password. So this is what you're going to log into with the website, the password. And of course, it's the NASA launch code password requirements. Save. Now, let's go down to our KMC Converge GFX service and open it up. So first thing you'll see is a big blank screen. So you have two buttons that really do the bulk of this. Now we're going to go up here to the property, and we'll change this site title to KMC Controls, because that's what it'll be on the graphic screen as a title. Now you've also got some other things on here that you can change to customize it yourself. Down in the footer, there's some like this has www.kmccontrols.com in the footer. Obviously, you could put your own website in there that you'd like, what's going to work for you. So building site. So building site is going to go out here and it's going to look in the BACnet network, just like I said, and it's going to look in the points folder, and it's going to look in that applications folder. So it's going to pull in all that information for us. So it's going to build based on that. So let's go ahead and hit build site. So it went out and it found all of these items. Now we've got a history item that it saw, which is a fancy word for trends. So if we want to see a trend that we've already set up, let's go in here and we'll look for that trend HU1 we've already done. Hit OK. That schedule item, so let's put that schedule in that we just did. Drill down for it. HU sched, there it is. Okay. So now we've done that, all we need to do is hit generate site. And this is going to create the HTML. And that's done. So when we did that, it also created a little nav file for us. So I want to go back up here into my KMC guest and make sure that it is using that nav file right there. Hit save. KMC Converge GFX service. So now we should be able to go and look at what we've done. To do that, let's open up our browser. And I'm on localhost and I'm using port 81. And typically you would use port 80, but you can use whatever port you would like. So I logged in as KMC Guest H5, which was that user that we added. So password. Login. So this is the graphics that it made for us. So there was that site title that we added to KMC Controls. Here's VAV1. It even has a picture of VAV of a VAV because it knows that's what it is. You can change that picture if you really wanted to, and you can put your own picture in there, but it's got active cooling set point, your space temperature, your occupancy mode. It's got the same functions that you would have going through Niagara. So this looks and is meant to be really used on a mobile platform. Looks really good on a phone. So if you were to squeeze this guy down, and you can see, kind of get an idea of what it looks like on a phone a little bit. But it's the graphics are obviously will go to whatever size screen it is you're working with. So if we go back up here, we also have histories that we looked at. So there's our trends. So there's a discharge air temp, mixed air temp, return air temp, space temp trend. So that's all done. That's in there. This is all stuff that's working that you've already set up. All you're doing is just showing it where to look for it. Same thing on the schedule. So that schedule that we added, so there's that schedule. So I can obviously edit it here and do whatever I'd like to with it. And whatever I change here will get pushed down to the controller. So the time pair, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. would get pushed down into the controller. So that's a real quick way of making graphics. So if you've got a whole building full of controllers, you can make graphics like this in just a matter of a few minutes. So I think even with me talking, it didn't even take hardly 20-25 minutes to make these graphics. So if you're on a job site where the individual or your customer is saying, hey, I can't see what's going on in my building, I'm kind of freaking out a little bit, I'd really like for you to, can you put some graphics together for me so I can see what's going on? This is something you could use. If you've got a spec that says you've got to have mobile graphics, this is a real quick and easy way to meet that spec. So it will do mobile graphics for you in a real quick, efficient way. And like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be, as long as it's a BACnet type of device, these will work. So I'll open it up for a few questions at this point.
Awesome. We have a few, and just a reminder, everyone, send your questions in. Go ahead and type those out now, and we'll get them answered here. So the first question was kind of back with the points. Will the points also match for the FlexStat or the AppStat points in the same way?
Not yet. No. Well, that's coming though. But yeah, but not. Well, the FlexStat will be by next year. But no, not. You can definitely pull those points in and make graphics with them, but it won't do the fingerprinting thing with them yet.
Gotcha. And then let's see, the Jace. Does the Jace itself need to be licensed for Converge, not just programmer tech's computer?
Yes, you would have to have this license either in the Jace or in your supervisor.
Gotcha. And yes, the video will be online. We put all of our videos on YouTube. That was another question that we had. So guys, if you have any more questions, keep typing those out real quick. I'm going to show you just a few more things here. I'm going to take back over. And if you have any more questions, we'll try to get those in here. Awesome. So I just wanted to remind everyone that we do have a new 7-inch touchscreen display that works perfectly with Converge GFX. You can view all the graphic dashboards, you can control Niagara web pages, and you can interact with your own custom graphics, and you can even use it with our KMC Conquest router HTML5 pages. And then we wanted to remind you, just like where we put all of our webinars on our YouTube channel, we do have some overviews on KMC Converge and using the audit tool as well. And then just as I said, we have a bunch of different webinars from everything from KMC Connect to Total Control and Converge and everything in between. And you can also link up with us on all of these social media platforms. We recently reintegrated our Instagram, so definitely check us out on Instagram where we're posting a lot of great content too. And we wanted to remind everyone, we do have an awesome case study on KMC Commander that is premiering today at 1 p.m. That case study is going to be live at 1 p.m. So basically what that means is you can go to the link that we sent out in the email and watch it with us, and we can respond and answer some questions as we watch that. And we hope to see you there for sure. Let's take a look here and see if we got a couple more questions. Can you touch on GFX capabilities on a supervisor soft JACE? More specifically, does it generally work the same, and what are the differences?
Yeah, this is everything that I've done today was on a soft JACE. So this was on a not. Ideally, I would say they work pretty much exactly the same. There really isn't any difference. So
perfect. Is this included with Converge, or is this an additional product?
It's an additional product. So Converge and Converge GFX are two different part numbers.
Perfect. And then let's see. Kind of off the beat, but it's, can you program the 5901C using Converge in N4?
Yes, you can.
Perfect. Well, those are all the questions. We really appreciate you guys giving us all those questions. We hope we at least gave you some great information on Converge GFX, and we hope that by seeing this and seeing how quick and easy it was to set up, that you'll be able to use it more often in the future, and we'd really like to see you guys take advantage of the tool. So we just want to thank everyone for attending, and Tom, thank you for your time and showing us all that great info.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone.